So let's talk about what are some of the strategies that are available out there. One of the things that diabetes psychologists in particular are trying to do nowadays is we're trying to help folks understand that it's not just about being depressed, go seek therapy, or being depressed and the only option is to go meet with a therapist. There's lots of other things, lots of other strategies that are available that we want to reinforce in the world, because there's just not as much discussion about the emotional and psychological impact of diabetes on just the psychological and emotional impact of having diabetes on a person's ability to manage their diabetes, right? So one of the things that diabetes psychologists are pushing for is a wider understanding of what can mental health, diabetes-related mental health support look like for people who are managing this chronic illness day in, day out. And we want to talk about other options beyond just therapy. So one of the things that the reason we've been kind of pushing for this is because psychotherapy, while it's a great resource, appropriate resource, not everybody may be ready for therapy, right? So resources might be limited. Even if you do have the motivation to seek out therapy, you may not want to put your resources into therapy just right now. You may not feel like your concerns are that severe, or that you just may not be ready to engage at that level of conversation around it, and that's not in a negative way. I'm not saying that as like a judgment or as a way to say, you know, it's the client's fault. That's not what I'm saying. But I do think that there is a challenge in opening up about some of these concerns that not everybody's ready to face, and you might be ready to deal with it at a later time, but right now may not be the right time. And the other sort of challenge around it is that sometimes it's really difficult to find a good client-therapist fit. And it does take a little bit of trial and error. And sometimes folks are ready to engage in that trial and error. And other times, if you're having a hard time just getting out of bed, trying to find somebody who's going to be a really good fit for you can feel even more challenging and even more, it's another burdensome task rather than something that can feel helpful. So let's talk about what can you do beyond seeking therapy. I think one of the things that probably everybody is already sick of hearing about, but it is really effective, is having some sort of a stress management plan. So what do we mean by that? First of all, how often in a given day do you think about your stress levels? Are you thinking about how stressed you are right now? You might be thinking of it in terms of like, I'm feeling overwhelmed, or I'm feeling distressed, oh, I don't want to do this right now. So those types of thoughts might be coming up for you, but how often are you engaging with almost like a strategic de-stressing plan, right? So a lot of folks don't have one, or even if they do have one, they feel uncomfortable accessing it for whatever reason. What I mean by that is that sometimes in our society, especially if you're not productive, if you're not effective, if you're not constantly working, you might feel like you are weaker than everybody else, that you are not able to get ahead in your career or in your relationships like everybody else is. So that can kind of pose as a challenge. So the idea of paying attention to your emotions actually almost becomes a barrier to you feeling like you're a productive member of society, right? And think about how often talking about our feelings and talking and even being interested in the idea of your emotions how often is it ever reinforced in our world? I don't think it was until 2020 that people even allowed, for a lot of, at least my clients, the idea of rest was not something that was commonplace for them. So what we're talking about when I say stress management plan is a way for you to rest your mind, okay? Whatever that's going to look like for you. So it looks different for different people. The way that I usually present this idea to folks is find something every single day that will nourish your mind, that will nourish your body, and nourish your sense of creativity, okay? And these are different types of rest that we all need. So when I say find something that nourishes your mind, common examples of this can include things like reading, puzzles, For some people, it is TV, you know, kind of zoning out in front of the TV as a way to sort of manage your emotions, sharing your joys and your grievances with another person that you feel comfortable with, that you trust. All of that is a way to rest and ease your mind.